Howdy there folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be installing a pyrometer in my 82 F350 that I 7.3 IDI swapped. Yesterday I just turned the injection pump up 2 flats just to get a little bit more power out of her because it was really bogging down ever since I put the new injectors in it. It felt like it lost a lot of power, so I put that in there and yeah, now it's a little bit better. But the thing is as soon as you touch an injection pump, of course you want to monitor your exhaust temps. This is an NA flavor, this is non-turbo, so I don't have to worry about it that much, but it's still going to be, for better assurance reasons, we're going to install that pyro. So let's get into the install. So the only reason I'm actually doing this at the moment too is I just happen to have a pyrometer sitting around. I've had this for like 4 years. I originally was going to do a project in school where I put this to the brake calipers on my track car, my brake rotor, to monitor, braking temps, but well, I never got around to that. So I've just had this glow shift pyrometer sitting around forever. And you just gotta love service boxes. They're just driving workbenches. Alrighty. 4 years in the making. I've been meaning to install this on something. Yep, this is going to be easy as pie to wire on up, 12 volts, switch 12 volts, all this stuff. I can find that pretty quickly. And actually, I just remembered, I actually have a gauge pod in this truck back when it was actually gas. I installed an AFR gauge in here. Oh, yep, that lines right up. And then this little metal piece is from some Goodwill oil pressure gauge that I found, and I didn't end up using, so there we are. We'll already have a spot to hook up our pyrometer, albeit it's a little flimsy, but I guess that's not really a big deal. Alrighty. Alright, feeling down on the exhaust manifold here. There's no ports there. Not that there should be, but sometimes you get pleasantly surprised. Now there's a few ways you can go about this. I'm going to drill it on cylinder 8 just because that's kind of what the internet said. And yeah, so the drill bit you're going to need is an 11/32. I got that right there. And of course the tap is an 1/8 by 27 MPT. And the reason I found out that this was an 11/32 bit is I took my little old school decimal equivalent reference table thingamabobber here, and I was just looking for an 1 and 1/8 inch by 27 thread. It says you need 11/32 drill bit. Now if this was a turbo, you could just install it on the up pipe and then you'd have a lot more common exhaust flow, but well, this is non-turbo, and I don't really feel comfortable about installing it down at the Y pipe because well, there's a lot more wind flow there and it'll actually cool off better. That's just my theory. I'm sure you guys have done it and it works fine, but I want a more accurate reading. So I can see why guys recommend installing it on cylinder 8, because the way these headers are designed is, they kind of all go up. They're not individual. It's one log manifold. And cylinder 8's the last one receiving the temperature of 2, 4, 6 here. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to install, tap, drill a hole for the K-type thermocouple. Well, underneath the truck here, there's just really no comfortable means. I could try and drill a hole straight up there, but then that's only going to cover cylinders 2, 4, and 6, not 8, because the 8's at the very back of the manifold. However, I think I can sneak a tap right here. That's not in the cast, which I would prefer it to be in the cast side because that's before this gasket here, and if this gasket leaks, that might skew our readings a little bit, but I assume it'd be a lot less dramatic than if it was an AFR gauge, so I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to drill a hole in here in this pipe. This pipe is still pretty thick, so I'm not worried about that sensor essentially rotting out anytime soon, but drill a hole in there and tap it and see how she goes. Alrighty, we made our hole. This is actually a pretty thick sidewall on this diesel Y pipe or whatever, so I totally think you could thread a thermocouple in there, no problem. Again, I'd much rather do it on the cast, but well, I didn't really have a choice here. And it also appears that the thermocouple is a 9/16 as well. In case anyone's watching this as a tutorial video. Otherwise, it's just me installing parts on my truck. And also, fun fact while we're down here, you can make a hydraulic transmission, hydraulic slave cylinder, work on a mechanical Z-bar truck. So like I said, this is an 82. These had mechanical Z-bars still on the, well, at least that I know, the 351 Windsors. And the 7.3s, or the 6.9s I should say, didn't come out until 83. So what I did right here is I hacked off the bracket for the slave cylinder, and I then did some modifications. I probably didn't need to do this, but I was dumb at the time and kind of messed around. But did some modifications to this push rod here to make it work with the actual, clutch fork and Z-bar. I had to put a return spring on there to keep this from popping off, because if you press the clutch, sometimes this would pop off. And then I also had to do that as well. Well, okay, I guess you don't have to do that, but that I had to keep fixing for a while until I can get it dialed in. But yeah, I took a T19 that was supposed to take a slave cylinder and made it work with a mechanical Z-bar. Don't recommend undoing it whatsoever. It's horrible. It's heavy, and the clutch just pops in and out. It doesn't engage nice, but had to make do with what I had. And, well, we made do with what I had. So I did have the T18 with the gasser bell housing, but I actually just opted to buy a whole T19 with diesel gearing. That way I didn't have to worry about the gasser gearing with the diesel on it. Now, hindsight, I wish I could have got a ZF5, but with my budget then, and honestly with my budget still now, it's out of the question. And these T19s are good. They just don't have overdrive, but it's a work truck, so you're not getting anywhere fast anyways, especially if you're hauling. But yeah, drop in the comments below. Do you guys think it's worthwhile to get farm plates, or should I just stay with the non-commercials? That's going to be more my farm truck right there, the OBS Power Stroke, and this is going to be more of my, well, backup farm truck slash, I kind of want to turn it into an off-road rig, so maybe not really pertaining to this as much, but right there. Is it worth it to get farm plates? I'm located in Minnesota, so I know it varies from state to state. Drop in the comments below. Thank you. In case no one's believing me that this was a 351 Windsor, yep, there you go. So yeah, and it was pretty much a bolt-in swap. I actually do have a video series I never finished on the tutorial on how to do it, but on my channel showing how to swap one of these in. But anyways, back to the install here. Yeah, so there's our thermocouple. We're gonna run that up through the firewall, probably through the speedometer cable bracket and into the cab of the truck. So I pretty much just tucked it underneath some cables and some lines, just to ensure it wouldn't catch the steering shaft or the Z-bar right there. Now it runs on over to here. I guess I don't have enough length to poke it through this grommet, but that's fine. Of course, on the electrical side, we'll have a lot more length too. So yeah, right here, oh no, this is the bracket. This is a little extension that will go to the gauge. Let's see if we can find a good home for it. All right, I got the wire tucked underneath the dash here, and I opted to actually move the gauge up here just so it was more solid. So I got the connection right here. That will go in the pod. Next up, we're going to start wiring everything up to constant 12 volts, switch 12 volts, grounds, blah, blah, blah. Now you're going to have to excuse the crudeness of the setup here. Unfortunately, the little bracket that we had here was not long enough to actually help it bolt up to the actual old school bracket, but it's whatever. And of course, this was originally in the fire department, and a few owners down the line, they just deleted the radio, I guess, but it works out good for us. This is for my glow plugs, but of course that doesn't work. Anyways, it looks like everything works fine. Let's test it on out. Oh, gotta love that buzzer. All right, so it looks like the bottom end is 200 degrees. Let's see if it dims. Awesome, it's dimming. So pretty much all I did to tap in for power for the dimming was just one of the dash lights right here. I had a splice, and then these guys over here, one goes to ground and the others go to the fuse box over here, where I found a constant 12 volts and a switch 12 volts. All right, let's get this thing started up and see if the pyrometer actually pyrometers. And considering the glow plugs are shot on it, I got glow plugs in a can. All it needs is literally just one spritz. You don't got to give it a whole bunch, just that, and it's fine. She's just a little hooked, but not super hooked. She's in rehab. she fought me there a little bit. Starting characteristics are definitely a lot different now that she's got a more turned up pump. Let's see if that pyro works. I'd say that the EGT sensor's working pretty good. Guess we'll get a load on this now and see how it reacts and see how high those numbers get. When I was sitting and idling forever, the temperature wasn't going up and I was a little concerned at first, but as soon as I started driving, it got some flow through there and it warmed up right away. So, truth be told, I've never had EGTs yet, so I don't know if those are good numbers or bad numbers, but I know that's low enough to not be that worried. Well, it's just a trailer, but it's a 2,000 pound load and we'll be putting a little wood on it, so nothing significant, but I'll keep a close eye on those temps and just make sure everything's spick and span. Alrighty guys, well, you just got to take my word for it. Driving it down the road, I was getting highest peaking at like 850 degrees Fahrenheit, and I know you really don't have to worry until you get up to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, I think. I'll drop up here what's kind of the danger to manifold temp, but nah, it was doing pretty fine, so that's pretty sick. So the truck did good, the thermocouple was showing fine. I feel a lot more better now that I turned it up 2 flats and I can actually see what's going on in there instead of just kind of guessing. She definitely smokes a little bit, but only on hard acceleration, so it was pretty sweet. A good little power booster. Kind of a random video, but hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely get more attention to the old girl here. Soon we'll be working on the power stroke though, replacing the leaking injector cups for that. Again, the problem, getting diesel in the coolant, but one thing at a time here. And I actually just picked up some plywood for the shop, so that'll be pretty sweet. We'll get the shop dialed in. Anyways guys, I appreciate you watching. If you liked it, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys are actually watching this as a tutorial video, then just drop in the comments below if there's anything you missed, and I'll gladly describe it to y'all. But it was pretty straightforward. Again, where I tapped in for the wiring, just to switch 12 volts right here to what would be one of the dash lights, but that's not actually connected to anything because they deleted on that. And then I got 2 wires running underneath here to the glove box. One is a headlight. No, that is the headlight switched, and then one's a switch 12 volts, one's a constant 12 volts, and then I ran the ground to just a random plug that was sitting around down here. It's kind of pulled on up, but anyways guys, I appreciate you watching the video. Y'all have a good one.